One of the ways to distinguish your video is to make sure that the audio is top-notch. Many believe that audio is much more than half the video's perceived quality. One way to make sure your audio is the best it can be is to use an external microphone, and we have a separate video about those. The other improvement you can make is using a separate audio recorder. We'll spend most of our time on this video on that. Before we jump into that, however, let's talk a bit about getting the most from your camera's sound system. There are probably not a lot of adjustments you can make to the sound recorder on a Handycam style video camera. The one I use allows me to set normal and low mic levels and to engage some wind noise reduction. That's about it. On your DSLR, you've got a few more variables you can adjust. These are probably just the same items with more adjustability. For example, I can set sound levels at auto, which allows the camera to choose the right mic levels, or I can select manual. With the manual settings, I can use the camera's graphic VU meter to increase or decrease the sound level to achieve my desired results. The meter has a mark at the -12 dB level to use as a guide. Most sound advisors say to shoot for a sound level between -6 dB and -12 dB. That allows up to another 6 decibels of headroom for a loud sound or shout of some kind before reaching the 0 decibel level where the sound gets distorted. That distortion is called clipping. On color displays, that's where the sound bars start to turn red. I can also turn the mic off. Both the Handycam and the DSLR recognize an external mic when it's plugged into the mic jack. In most cases, this will be a 3.5mm stereo jack. Your mic, however, will likely be a mono microphone, so you'll either need to get a mono to stereo plug converter to plug between your mic and the camera, or simply duplicate the mono track to both left and right tracks in post-production. Failure to do one or the other of these steps will result in your audio playing in only the left or right earpiece when your viewer watches your masterpiece. With few exceptions, the camera maker is focused on photography. This means the audio recorder will likely be mediocre. However, with a reasonable external mic and correct settings, your camera's onboard recorder may meet your needs. The next step up is using a separate audio recorder. This is how movies are made. Cameras record the video and audio recorders record the audio. The two are then married in post-production. Paid audio editors and some of the free editors will allow this. When you see a behind-the-scenes shot where an assistant stands in front of the camera and claps the scene slate, he or she is generating a tall, spiky waveform in the audio that can be matched with the clapper board closing on the slate. For our low-budgeting editing, having someone on camera who claps their hands achieves the same purpose. When using both a camera and an audio recorder, you'll normally have the camera set to record audio also. In this case, the audio waveform from the camera is depicted in the video editor, and it will closely match the higher quality sound waveform from the audio recorder. It's just a matter of matching up the recording track on the editor's displays with the recorded track on the video. It's a bit easier said than done, but it's not a huge task. Remember, the audio will need to start within one of the 30 or 24 frames per second that the camera is recording at. Once you get the sound track close, you shouldn't have too much trouble zeroing in on the exact frame where the match occurs. When matched, the camera's audio is muted. The clapping sound and its sharp spike on the waveform display makes this pretty easy. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, let's talk about separate audio recorders for a moment. Dedicated audio recorders in the $100 and up range should give you a great quality sound for beginner or hobby level videos. Some provide enough quality for even semi-professional and professional work. At the lower end of the price range are products like the Zoom H1 and the Tascam DR05 or DR22WL. Both provide a small form factor recorder that have good low noise amplifiers and adjustable recording levels. These recorders have built-in mics but also accept external mic inputs from your shotgun or lavalier mic. Each has a variety of variables that you can set, giving you much more control over the recording process. The small size of these recorders also allows you to use them instead of a wireless mic. You can easily connect your lav mic to the recorder, start the recording, and then place the recorder in a pocket or in the small of your back. This allows you to move about freely as you would with a wireless microphone without the cost. You can also use the built-in mics to use the recorder much like a handheld interview mic. You'll have to be careful though, as handling noise easily transfers to the built-in mics. The next step up in the external audio recorder space are recorders like the Tascam DR60 Mark II, the DR70, and the Zoom H5 and H6. These recorders run from about $170 for the DR60 to $400 for the Zoom H6. These differ from the previous examples in that they are multi-track recorders. That means that you can attach several mic inputs and record from each one or some combination of them. For example, in the lower priced Tascam DR60 Mark II, you can connect two mics via XLR cables to capture stereo from a live performance. You can also use a stereo mic using a 3.5mm plug to record in stereo using inputs 3 and 4. The highest price models mentioned here, the Zoom H6, allows for 6 tracks for recording. Each of the recorders allows you to adjust a variety of variables to adjust for the sound being recorded. Unlike the Zoom H1 and the Tascam DR5, these recorders need to be set up on or near your camera. They aren't portable to the extent that the H1 and DR5 are. They are battery powered so you can use them in the field, but they are too big to mount on a person. Both the DR60 Mark II and the DR70 have connectors that allow you to mount them between your tripod and your camera or on a separate tripod. Similarly, the Zooms can mount onto your camera's hot shoe or a cold shoe on a camera cage or bracket. This is one area where taking your videos to the next level is going to cost you a bit more. We've tried to stay with the cheap or free stuff, but you really don't want to skip on your camera and your audio recorder if you can help it. The higher quality components of these dedicated audio recorders and their adjustable variables make these worth the extra money. You don't need them to get started, but you should start saving. Let's wrap this up with a low-cost alternative so we can stay true to our cheap theme. That alternative is your smartphone. Several of the inexpensive lav mics are made for smartphone use. As with other audio recorders, you gain a lot in the quality department by just having the mic near the person who's speaking. A smartphone with a good audio recorder app and a lav mic can be an easy and cheap alternative to a dedicated recorder or a wireless mic. Look for a recorder app that allows you to adjust your microphone levels and one that outputs to either WAV or MP3 files. One that allows recording at least 44 kilohertz would also be good. You don't want to sound like you're on the phone. No pun intended. Many of these apps are free to try, so try a couple. Some have paid versions that you can upgrade to if you like the free version. Okay, you know the drill. Please click on the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to be notified when I post new videos to the RC Planeviews channel. Now, go out there and try some of these ideas to upgrade your audio.